Today we'll follow a clear path. First, we'll compare photosynthesis and respiration, then look at how plants exchange gases, move into the steps of glycolysis and fermentation, and finally examine aerobic respiration, the TCA cycle, the electron transport chain, and the ATP yield. Along the way, we'll also touch on how respiration connects to biosynthesis and how to interpret the respiratory quotient. At the most basic level, all living cells need energy. Respiration is the process that breaks down organic molecules to release energy that's captured as ATP, the cell's immediate energy currency. Photosynthesis supplies the organic molecules, mainly sugars, by converting light into chemical energy inside chloroplasts, while respiration, mostly in mitochondria, converts that chemical energy into ATP for cellular work. Plants do take up oxygen and release carbon dioxide as part of respiration, but they don't need lungs. Gas exchange happens through stomata on leaves and lenticels on stems, and internal air spaces like the spongy mesophyll let gases diffuse over short distances to cells. Because plant cells are close to the surface and have lower per cell demands than many animal tissues, diffusion is usually sufficient to meet their respiratory needs. Glycolysis, also called the EMP pathway, is the universal first step in glucose breakdown. It happens in the cytoplasm and does not require oxygen. One glucose molecule is split into two pyruvate molecules through an investment phase, where ATP is spent to phosphorylate intermediates, and a payoff phase, where ATP and NADH are produced. The net result is 2 ATP and 2 NADH per glucose. When oxygen is absent or scarce, pyruvate can be converted by fermentation, so glycolysis can continue. In alcoholic fermentation, yeast convert pyruvate to ethanol and CO2, regenerating NAD+. In lactic acid fermentation, bacteria or muscle cells convert pyruvate to lactate while also regenerating NAD+. Both pathways yield only the 2 ATP from glycolysis and are mainly about keeping NAD+ available for continued ATP production under anaerobic conditions. When oxygen is present, pyruvate enters mitochondria and is decarboxylated to form acetyl-CoA, releasing CO2. Acetyl-CoA then feeds into the tricarboxylic acid cycle in the mitochondrial matrix, where it is oxidized completely to CO2 and water. This complete oxidation releases high-energy electrons that are carried by NADH and FADH2 to the electron transport chain. The TCA or Krebs cycle is a series of reactions that starts when acetyl-CoA combines with oxaloacetate to form citrate and then regenerates oxaloacetate while releasing 2 molecules of CO2 per acetyl unit. Each turn of the cycle produces NADH and FADH2 and a small amount of GTP or ATP. These reduced cofactors carry the electrons needed for the next stage and supply carbon skeletons that can be withdrawn for biosynthesis. The electron transport system sits in the inner mitochondrial membrane and funnels electrons from NADH and FADH2 through a series of complexes. As electrons move through complexes 1 to 4, protons are pumped from the matrix into the intermembrane space, creating an electrochemical gradient. The terminal electron acceptor is oxygen, which combines with electrons and protons to form water. The chemiosmotic mechanism explains how the proton gradient drives ATP synthesis. ATP synthase, also known as complex 5, has a membrane-embedded channel and a rotating headpiece. As protons flow back into the matrix through this channel, their movement powers the conversion of ADP and inorganic phosphate into ATP. Roughly 4 protons passing through ATP synthase are needed to synthesize one ATP molecule. When you add up the stages of aerobic respiration, you get a rough theoretical yield. Glycolysis contributes 2 ATP, the TCA cycle yields about 2 ATP or GTP directly, and the electron transport system can produce around 34 ATP from the reduced cofactors, giving an overall tally near 38 ATP per glucose in ideal conditions. By contrast, fermentation yields only the 2 ATP from glycolysis, so aerobic respiration is far more efficient. Respiration is amphibolic. It breaks down molecules for energy but also provides intermediates for biosynthesis. Intermediates from glycolysis and the TCA cycle are siphoned off to build amino acids, fatty acids, and other cellular components. Acetyl-CoA, for example, is a central hub. It funnels carbon into energy production or into pathways that produce lipids and other macromolecules. We quantify the substrate cells use with the respiratory quotient, RQ, defined as the volume of CO2 produced divided by the volume of O2 consumed. Pure carbohydrate oxidation gives an RQ of about 1.0 because equal amounts of CO2 and O2 are exchanged, whereas fats have an RQ below 1. For example, tripalmitin has an RQ around 0.7 because fats require more oxygen per unit of CO2 produced. To recap, photosynthesis builds the organic fuel and respiration extracts its energy. Glycolysis kickstarts glucose breakdown and can operate anaerobically. Fermentation regenerates NAD+ when oxygen is absent, and aerobic respiration via pyruvate oxidation, the TCA cycle, and the electron transport chain produces the bulk of ATP. Remember the practical numbers: 2 ATP from glycolysis, a little from the TCA, and the majority from oxidative phosphorylation, giving an overall high ATP yield under aerobic conditions. In short, the chloroplasts and mitochondria work together to capture, store, and release energy efficiently, and the intermediates and byproducts from these pathways are tightly integrated into the cell's metabolic needs.